Hey guys, hi, welcome back once again. And this time I wish to talk about the beautiful and the brutal aspect of uncertainty. So let's call it the brutiful aspect of uncertainty. And I would like to begin with a quote from Jiddu Krishnamurti, which goes something like this. The very desire to be certain, to be secure, is the beginning of bondage. It's only when the mind is not caught in the net of certainty and is not seeking certainty that it's in the state of discovery. And as brutal as that may sound, and as insecure that may make us feel, I believe it's very true. And if we just take a step back and if we just allow ourselves to observe what uncertainty does, we probably will be able to see a bigger picture. So how about thinking of uncertainty in terms of being more creative, in terms of understanding and being able to hear our own intuition, to be able to sit with our own selves and to be able to hear that soft voice, that soft whisper that most of the times we forget to hear. So today most of us might say that I'm feeling the blues. But then let us take a step back and even analyze that, even think about that, the paradox of that. We associate color blue with calmness, with calm. But when we speak of blue in that way, it's not a very pleasant emotion that we get. Not a very pleasant sight of it also, if we can actually visualize it. And therein lies the paradox of everything. And I believe that all the opposites that we have are in some ways or the other complementary forces, are in some way or the other balancing forces of the nature itself, of life itself. So we might wonder as to how intuition can be correlated to uncertainty. Let's take an example and let's assume for an instance that you want to travel somewhere, you want to go somewhere. And you're in your car or you're driving your bike, and invariably, unfortunately, it so happens that you do not have your physical map with you, either in the form of a paper or a booklet. And it also so happens that somewhere in between, you lose your network and you now can't rely on your GPS to help you out. You will be asked to comply for help. And very likely it will happen that you'll not stop across every person whom you meet on the way, but you will probably stop at the right person, listening to your gut instinct, hearing to that intuitive voice, to that soft voice, and ask for the help, who will be able to direct you in the right direction, the direction that you wanted to take. And maybe you'll establish a friendship for life. Let's take another example. I have personally known some people over the past few years, in fact, a decade or so, who probably were not being as creative in their endeavors and their lives as they are being today. They have reinvented themselves. They have started something on their own, which probably had been brushed aside in the busyness of life, which probably had been brushed under the carpet when we all were busy playing busy. And we truly don't know whether their talent was dormant, had been brushed aside, or they did not even acknowledge it about themselves till very recently. And they have started their own businesses and they are recreating themselves on an everyday basis. And maybe uncertainty can help us introspect and reflect on who and what truly matters. Because unfortunately, when things are certain, we take them for granted. And when we start taking things for granted, we start taking life for granted. And when we start taking life for granted, we kind of lose its value. So maybe it's a pathway to carving our own paths. It may just possibly be the best possible course towards understanding infinite possibilities. So let's try and think about uncertainty as a complementary force towards certainty. Let's try and think about what Jiddu Krishnamurti had said. So let's try and think about uncertainty as a certain possible aspect of a certain creativity. That uncertainty can help us be more creative. It can help us be more intuitive. It can help us create better connections. It can help us understand who and what truly matters. It may probably help us in even understanding that the beauty of life is in its fragility. So let's try and think about uncertainty in a different paradigm. Let's kind of rewire ourselves so that we truly start appreciating the beauty of life rather than taking it for granted. And life just not in human form. Life in every form that exists on planet. Life as planet itself. Let's try and think about that, and I will see you once again next week. Till then, stay tuned in.